What if love could overcome every obstacle, defying expectations and societal barriers? Meet Marcus and Andre, two men whose extraordinary bond led to the most heartwarming surprise ever witnessed at a wedding. Their journey is proof that love knows no bounds. Stick around to see how a powerful love story unfolds. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible tales of resilience and romance. The late afternoon sun painted golden streaks across the polished floors of Atlanta's Piedmont Rehabilitation Center as James John gathered his belongings, ready to begin his first day as a volunteer. His architectural firm's latest skyscraper project loomed in his mind, but something about this place, with its determination-filled atmosphere and stories of recovery, called to him in a way steel and glass never could. He wasn't prepared for the infectious laughter that would stop him in his tracks. It floated down the corridor, warm and rich like honey, drawing him toward the physical therapy room. There, surrounded by exercise equipment and encouraging therapists, sat Nathan Hayes, his wheelchair positioned near the parallel bars. Despite the obvious strain on his face as he worked through his upper body exercises, Nathan's eyes sparkled with humor as he entertained his therapist with what appeared to be an elaborate story. And that's when little Timothy decided the robot dance was definitely the way to go for his solo performance. Nathan was saying, his hands gesturing expressively. Picture this, a 6-year-old in a bow tie, mechanical movements in the middle of the Nutcracker. The audience didn't know whether to laugh or applaud. The physical therapist wiped tears of laughter from her eyes. I can't believe you let him do it. Hey, as a dance teacher, sometimes you have to let creativity win over tradition, Nathan replied, his smile genuine and bright. Those are the moments they remember forever. James found himself drawn closer, captivated by the way Nathan's entire face lit up when he spoke. The former dance teacher's dark skin gleamed with a light sheen of perspiration from his exercises, but his energy seemed boundless. When Nathan's warm brown eyes met his, James felt an unexpected flutter in his chest. Well, hello there, Nathan called out. Are you lost, or just enjoying my riveting tales of middle school dance recitals? James stepped forward, extending his hand. James John, I'm actually starting as a volunteer today. Though I have to admit, your storytelling skills did lure me in. Nathan's grip was firm and warm. Nathan Hayes, former purveyor of dance dreams to Atlanta's youth, current champion of parallel bars and upper body workouts. His eyes crinkled at the corners. Fair warning, volunteer here long enough, and you'll probably end up starring in one of my stories. As James helped organize equipment and assisted other patients that afternoon, he found his gaze constantly drawn back to Nathan. There was something magnetic about the way he approached his rehabilitation. Each movement deliberate, each small victory celebrated with quiet dignity. But it was more than that. It was the way he called out encouragement to other patients, remembered every staff member's name, and somehow managed to make everyone around him feel seen and valued. The weeks that followed fell into a rhythm. James arranged his volunteer hours around Nathan's therapy sessions, telling himself it was just because Nathan's positive energy made the time pass more quickly. They shared snippets of conversation between exercises, James talking about his latest architectural challenges, Nathan reminiscing about his dancing days, and sharing his dreams of returning to teaching in some capacity. It was during one such conversation that Nathan mentioned the Rehabilitation Center's funding struggles. They do amazing work here, he said, his expression thoughtful as he worked through his exercises. But they could help so many more people with better equipment, more staff. James found himself leaning forward. Have you ever considered organizing a fundraiser? Nathan's eyes lit up. Actually, I've been playing with an idea. A showcase, combining performances from local dance studios with stories of recovery from patients here. Show people the power of movement, you know? He paused, uncertainty crossing his face. But organizing something like that, from this chair, I could help, James offered, the words coming out before he could second-guess them. I mean, I have experience with project management, and my firm has connections with various venues in the city. The smile that spread across Nathan's face made James's heart skip a beat. You really do that? And so began their partnership. What started as weekly planning meetings soon evolved into daily phone calls and text messages. James found himself storing away funny stories throughout his day, knowing they would make Nathan laugh. Nathan started sending him videos of dance performances, explaining the technical elements that made them special. One evening, as they worked late at the center reviewing potential venues, Nathan grew quiet. James looked up from his laptop to find Nathan staring out the window, his expression distant. "What's on your mind?" James asked softly. Nathan was silent for a long moment before speaking. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm crazy for thinking I can still make a difference in the dance world. The accident, it changed everything. 2 years ago, I was choreographing complex routines, demonstrating moves, lifting dancers. Now," he gestured to his wheelchair. James set aside his laptop, moving closer. "Nathan, I've seen you with the kids who visit their relatives here. The way you explain movement, the way you help them understand the beauty of dance, that hasn't changed. If anything, your perspective now adds something even more valuable." Nathan's eyes met his, filled with an emotion James couldn't quite name. "You really see that?" "I see you," James replied simply. "All of you." The air between them seemed to charge with electricity. James became acutely aware of how close they were sitting, of the way Nathan's hands rested just inches from his own. The moment stretched, filled with unspoken possibilities. A janitor's car rattling past the door broke the spell. Nathan cleared his throat, turning back to the venue listings, but something had shifted. James could feel it in the way their hands would accidentally brush as they passed papers back and forth, in the lingering glances they shared when they thought the other wasn't looking. As spring bloomed across Atlanta, bringing with it the sweet scent of magnolias and the promise of new beginnings, James found himself falling deeper into Nathan's orbit. He learned about the accident, a rainy night, a drunk driver, a moment that changed everything. But more importantly, he learned about Nathan's quiet strength, his refusal to let bitterness take root, his determination to find new ways to share his passion for dance. What began as admiration grew into something more profound. James found himself noticing the little things. The way Nathan's voice grew soft when he talked about his former students, the determined set of his jaw during particularly challenging therapy sessions, the gentle way he teased the center staff. Each detail added another brushstroke to the portrait of a man who had faced devastating loss and emerged with his spirit not just intact, but somehow more beautiful for having been tested. Their first kiss happened on a rainy evening, much like the one that had changed Nathan's life. They had stayed late again, finalizing details for the fundraiser, when a sudden storm left them stranded at the center. As thunder rolled outside, Nathan shared stories of his dancing days, his eyes alight with passion as he described the feeling of moving across a stage. "I miss it," he admitted quietly. "Not just the dancing itself, but that sensation of being completely free, completely in the moment. Sometimes I dream I'm dancing again, and when I wake up..." He trailed off, the motion thick in his voice. James knelt beside Nathan's wheelchair, taking his hand. "You still dance," he said softly. "I see it in the way you move, the way you teach, the way you light up when you talk about it. The stage might be different now, but the dancer in you, he's still there, still moving, still creating beauty." Nathan's free hand came up to cup James's cheek, his touch gentle as a whisper. "How do you do that?" he asked, his voice barely audible above the rain. "How do you see past everything to exactly what I need to hear?" "Because I see you," James answered, echoing his words from weeks before. "All of you." "And Nathan?" He took a breath, gathering his courage. "I think I'm falling in love with all of you." The kiss was soft at first, tentative, like the first notes of a new song. But as Nathan's fingers threaded through James's hair, as James's hand came to rest over Nathan's steadily beating heart, the kiss deepened into something more. A promise, a beginning, a dance all their own. That kiss marked the start of a transformation in both their lives. The fundraiser they had been planning became not just a showcase of physical recovery, but a celebration of love in all its forms. James found himself looking at his architectural designs differently, considering accessibility not as an afterthought, but as an integral part of creating spaces where everyone could dance through life in their own way. Nathan's therapy sessions took on new meaning as their relationship deepened. James was there for the triumphs. The first time Nathan managed to stand for more than a few seconds, the day he moved his toes slightly, and for the setbacks that left Nathan frustrated and drained. Through it all, their love grew stronger, built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and an unwavering belief in each other's dreams. As summer faded into autumn, James knew with absolute certainty that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with Nathan. The proposal he planned was as much a celebration of their journey as it was a promise for their future. The Atlanta Botanical Gardens, with its winding paths and secret corners, provided the perfect setting. James spent weeks coordinating with the garden staff, arranging for yellow roses, Nathan's favorite, to create a trail through the gardens. Each stop along the path held a memory, a photo from their first fundraiser success, a video message from one of Nathan's former students sharing how he had changed their life, a pressed flower from the bouquet James had brought to celebrate Nathan's first time standing in therapy. On a perfect October evening, as the setting sun painted the sky in shades of rose and gold, James led Nathan through the garden. At each stop, Nathan's eyes grew brighter with tears of joy as they relived their shared memories. Their families and closest friends waited at the final destination, the garden's centerpiece fountain, surrounded by hundreds of twinkling lights. As they approached the fountain, James moved to kneel beside Nathan's wheelchair, but Nathan stopped him with a gentle touch. "Wait," he said softly, his eyes shining with determination. "There's something I want to try." With careful movements and the support of the lightweight bars that had been discreetly placed nearby, Nathan began to rise from his chair. James watched in awe as Nathan, through sheer force of will and months of secret practice, stood before him. Though his legs trembled with the effort, Nathan's smile was radiant. "James Chin," Nathan began, his voice steady despite the physical strain. "You came into my life when I thought I had lost my ability to dance, but you showed me that dance isn't just about movement. It's about connection, about expressing what words can't say, about finding beauty in unexpected places. You taught me that love, like dance, doesn't have to look any particular way to be magnificent." James felt tears rolling down his cheeks as Nathan continued. "I can't promise you perfect pirouettes or traditional first dances, but I can promise you a lifetime of finding new ways to move through this world together, of creating our own kind of beauty, of showing others that love knows no boundaries. Will you marry me?" The yes that burst from James's lips was barely audible through his tears, but the kiss they shared spoke volumes. As their friends and family erupted in applause, as Nathan carefully lowered himself back into his chair, both men knew that this was just the beginning of their greatest dance yet. The months leading up to their wedding became a beautiful blur of planning and preparation, but for Nathan, they were also filled with intense determination. While James focused on creating their perfect day, Nathan doubled down on his therapy sessions, working with Dr. Sarah Johnson Lone after regular hours had ended. "I want to give James something incredible," Nathan explained to Dr. Johnson during one particularly grueling session. "He's given me so much, his love, his support, his unwavering belief in me. I want our first dance to be something no one expects." Dr. Johnson watched as Nathan gripped the parallel bars, his arms trembling as he worked to stand. "It won't be easy," she cautioned, "and you'll need to be careful not to push too hard." Nathan's face was set with determination. Nothing worth doing is ever easy, but this is worth everything. The wedding day dawned clear and bright, the kind of perfect autumn day that seemed created just for them. The historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Martin Luther King Jr. once preached, had been transformed into a garden of yellow roses and twinkling lights. As James walked down the aisle, his heart nearly stopped at the sight of Nathan waiting for him, handsome in his tailored tuxedo, the smile brighter than any light in the room. Their vows were personal and profound, each word carrying the weight of their journey together. But it was during Nathan's vows that the entire church fell silent in amazement. With careful movements and the support of specially designed bars hidden among the floral arrangements, Nathan rose from his wheelchair to stand before James. "My love," Nathan said, his voice carrying clearly through the hushed church, "when I lost the ability to walk, I thought I had lost everything that made me who I was. But you showed me that we are so much more than our limitations. You taught me that love isn't about what we can or cannot do. It's about who we become together." Taking James's hands in his, Nathan continued, I stand before you today not just as a testament to physical therapy and determination, but as proof that love gives us strength we never knew we had. I promise to spend every day showing you that same strength, that same dedication, that same boundless love you've shown me. There wasn't a dry eye in the church as James, overcome with emotion, stepped forward to wrap his arms around Nathan, supporting him as they shared their first kiss as married men. The applause that followed was deafening, a celebration not just of their union, but of the power of love to overcome any obstacle. But Nathan wasn't finished surprising everyone. At the reception, as the opening notes of "At Last" filled the air, Nathan once again stood from his wheelchair. This time, with James's steady support, he didn't just stand, he danced. The months of secret practice paid off as they swayed together, moving in perfect harmony. "I can't believe you did all this," James whispered, pulling Nathan close as they moved to the music. "You're incredible." Nathan's eyes sparkled with joy and triumph. "We're incredible," he corrected. "Everything I am, everything I've achieved, is because you love me enough to help me believe in myself again." As they danced, their guests watched in wonder, many filming the moment on their phones. But James and Nathan were lost in their own world, where nothing existed except the music, the movement, and their love for each other. Their wedding video went viral within days, touching hearts around the world. But for James and Nathan, it was just the beginning of their story. They established the Chin Hayes Foundation for Accessible Arts, working to ensure that everyone, regardless of physical ability, had access to dance and movement therapy. Nathan returned to teaching, this time focusing on adaptive dance programs that allowed students of all abilities to experience the joy of movement. James's architectural firm became known for its innovative approach to accessible design, creating spaces that celebrated rather than merely accommodated diversity. Together, they traveled the country, sharing their story and advocating for greater accessibility in the arts. Their love became a beacon of hope, proving that with enough determination, support, and love, anything is possible. Years later, as they watched a group of students perform at their foundation's annual showcase, Nathan squeezed James's hand. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't volunteered at that rehabilitation center?" James turned to look at his husband, still seeing the same spark of joy and determination that had first captured his heart. "I don't have to wonder," he replied softly. "Some things are meant to be. You and me, we were always meant to dance this life together." And as they sat there, surrounded by the legacy of their love, they knew that their greatest dance was still unfolding, each day bringing new steps, new challenges, and new opportunities to show the world that love truly knows no bounds. Their foundation's work began to spread across the country like wildfire, touching lives in ways they never imagined possible. The Chin Hayes Foundation for Accessible Arts quickly became known for its innovative approach to combining rehabilitation with artistic expression. They started with dance programs in Atlanta, but soon their methodology was being adopted by rehabilitation centers and dance studios across the United States. Nathan's return to teaching proved to be transformative not just for his students, but for the entire field of adaptive dance. He developed new techniques that allowed dancers of all abilities to express themselves fully, breaking down traditional barriers that had long existed in the dance world. His classes became a sanctuary where wheelchair users could partner with standing dancers, where prosthetic limbs became tools of artistic expression rather than limitations, and where the true spirit of dance, the joy of movement and self-expression, flourished without boundaries. Their home became a hub of creativity and inspiration. The spacious Victorian in Atlanta's historic district, which James had carefully renovated to be fully accessible while maintaining its classic charm, frequently hosted gatherings of artists, activists, and dreamers. Their Sunday brunches became legendary in the local arts community, with dancers, musicians, architects, and therapists coming together to share ideas and forge new collaborations. James's architectural firm, now known as Chin Inclusive Design, revolutionized the way buildings were conceived from the ground up. He often said that falling in love with Nathan had opened his eyes to the poetry of accessible design. His buildings weren't just functional, they were beautiful celebrations of human diversity. The firm's crowning achievement came with the opening of the Movement Arts Center in downtown Atlanta, a structure that seemed to defy gravity while accommodating every possible need of its users. The couple's influence extended beyond the practical into the realm of popular culture. Their story was optioned for a major film, but they insisted on maintaining creative control to ensure the narrative stayed true to their experience and the larger message of inclusion. The resulting documentary, Dancing Without Limits, earned critical acclaim and helped change public perceptions about disability and romance. As their foundation grew, they established scholarship programs for aspiring dancers with disabilities and grants for small dance studios to make their spaces more accessible. The annual Chunhei's Adaptive Arts Festival became a major event in Atlanta's cultural calendar, drawing participants and spectators from around the world. The festival showcased not just dance, but all forms of adaptive arts, from wheelchair ballet to integrated theater companies. Their personal life continued to evolve and deepen. They adopted 2 children, Maya, a talented young dancer with cerebral palsy, and Marcus, a budding architect with a passion for universal design. Their family became a living testament to their beliefs about inclusion and possibility. The children grew up surrounded by art, love, and the constant reminder that limitations were just invitations to innovate. Nathan's physical journey continued to inspire others. Though he still primarily used his wheelchair, his ability to stand and move for short periods became stronger through consistent therapy and practice. Key and James continued to dance together, developing their own unique style that incorporated both wheelchair and standing movements. Their anniversary dances became highly anticipated events at the Foundation's galas, each year bringing a new routine that showcased their evolving capabilities and enduring love. The couple's work began to influence policy at both local and national levels. They were invited to speak before Congress about the importance of arts funding and accessibility requirements. Their testimony helped secure increased funding for adaptive arts programs and stricter accessibility standards for public buildings. The Chunhei's accessibility guidelines, developed through their foundation, became a reference point for architects and urban planners nationwide. Their love story inspired a new generation of couples facing similar challenges. They regularly hosted workshops for partners where one or both faced physical disabilities, sharing their experiences and strategies for maintaining a strong relationship while navigating health challenges. These sessions often ended with impromptu dance parties where couples discovered new ways to move together, regardless of their physical capabilities. The Foundation's research division, established in partnership with Emory University, began conducting groundbreaking studies on the intersection of arts and rehabilitation. Their findings about the positive impact of dance therapy on physical and emotional recovery were published in major medical journals, leading to new treatment protocols and rehabilitation centers across the country. As they approached their 10th wedding anniversary, James and Nathan decided to renew their vows in a ceremony that celebrated how far they'd come. The event was held at the Movement Arts Center, with performances by dancers from their programs interspersed throughout the ceremony. Nathan, who had continued his therapy with unwavering dedication, managed to stand and walk several steps unassisted to meet James at the altar, a moment that brought their guests to tears. Their foundation expanded internationally, with satellite programs opening in London, Tokyo, and Sydney. Each new location adapted their methods to local cultural contexts while maintaining the core principle that art should be accessible to everyone. They established exchange programs between different centers, creating a global network of adaptive arts practitioners. The couple's home life remained their sanctuary. Evening finds them on their specially designed back porch, watching the sunset over their garden. Nathan often teaches James new dance moves, their laughter floating through the warm Georgia air as they experiment with different ways to move together. Their children join them, each adding their own interpretation to the family dance. Their impact on the arts community continued to grow exponentially. Major dance companies began incorporating adaptive dance into their regular seasons, often consulting with Nathan on choreography and accessibility. James's architectural innovations influenced a new generation of designers, with universities adding inclusive design courses to their architecture programs based on his methodologies. The Chunhei's Foundation's endowment grew to support more ambitious projects. They established a living history project, documenting the stories of dancers with disabilities from around the world. These narratives were preserved in a digital archive, ensuring that future generations would have access to these powerful testimonies of resilience and creativity. Their love story became the subject of academic studies in fields ranging from disability studies to psychology. Researchers were particularly interested in how their relationship had catalyzed social change, creating a model for how personal narratives could transform public perspectives on disability and romance. As they looked toward the future, James and Nathan continued to dream big. Plans were underway for a network of accessible performing arts centers across rural America, bringing their mission to communities often overlooked by mainstream arts organizations. Their children were growing into young adults who shared their parents' passion for inclusion and innovation, ensuring that their legacy would continue into the next generation. Their story continued to unfold in unexpected ways, each challenge becoming an opportunity for growth and each triumph a chance to reach even higher. Through it all, their love remained the foundation upon which everything else was built. A love that had not only changed their lives, but had helped reshape the world's understanding of what was possible when hearts and minds opened to new ways of moving through life together. Their legacy continued to flourish in ways they never imagined. The Chin Hayes Foundation expanded its reach into virtual reality technology, creating immersive dance experiences that allowed people with varying abilities to experience the sensation of different types of movement. This groundbreaking program, initially developed for rehabilitation purposes, soon caught the attention of major tech companies who saw its potential for both therapeutic and artistic applications. The couple's children carried their vision forward in unique ways. Maya, now a celebrated choreographer, pioneered new forms of integrated dance that challenged traditional notions of body movement and artistic expression. Her performances at prestigious venues like Lincoln Center and the Sydney Opera House featured dancers of all abilities moving together in harmonious synchronization. Marcus, following in James's footsteps but blazing his own trail, revolutionized urban planning with his concept of universal cities, metropolitan spaces designed from the ground up to be accessible and welcoming to everyone. James and Nathan's marriage continued to deepen with age, their love story inspiring romance novelists and screenwriters to create more inclusive narratives about love and disability. Their annual dance at the Foundation's gala evolved into an eagerly anticipated event that showcased how their movement vocabulary had grown richer and more nuanced over the years. They developed a unique form of partner dance that incorporated both wheelchair and standing movements, which became known as the Chin Hayes method and was taught in dance studios worldwide. Their home became a living museum of adaptive art and design. The garden, which James had meticulously designed with Nathan's input, featured sculptures that doubled as support structures for dance and physical therapy. The space hosted regular workshops where architects, artists, and accessibility experts came together to imagine new possibilities for inclusive design. The Foundation's research division made breakthrough discoveries in the field of dance therapy and neuroplasticity. Studies showed that their integrated approach to movement and artistic expression accelerated recovery in stroke patients and improved outcomes for individuals with spinal cord injuries. Medical schools began incorporating their methodology into physical therapy programs, creating a new generation of healthcare professionals who understood the powerful connection between art and healing. Their influence spread to unexpected places. Fashion designers began consulting with them on adaptive clothing lines that were both functional and stylish. Tech companies sought their input on developing more intuitive prosthetics that could respond to the subtle movements required for dance. Their approach to inclusive design influenced everything from playground equipment to public transportation systems. As they entered their golden years, James and Nathan found new ways to express their love and commitment. They established a mentorship program for young couples navigating similar challenges, sharing the wisdom they'd gained through decades of partnership. Their Sunday brunches expanded to include multiple generations of families touched by their work, creating a vibrant community of support and celebration. The Movement Arts Center became a global hub for inclusive arts education, hosting residencies for artists from around the world. The building itself continued to evolve as James incorporated new technologies and design elements to meet the changing needs of its diverse users. The center's success led to the creation of similar facilities across 6 continents, each adapted to local cultural contexts while maintaining the core principle of universal accessibility. Their foundation's endowment grew to support more ambitious projects, including a space program designed to study movement in zero gravity and its implications for adaptive dance. This research, conducted in partnership with NASA, opened new possibilities for both artistic expression and physical rehabilitation. The findings challenged conventional wisdom about the limitations of the human body and inspired new approaches to movement therapy. Nathan's teaching methods were incorporated into public school curricula nationwide, transforming physical education programs into more inclusive and expressive experiences. His approach emphasized the joy of movement over technical perfection, allowing students of all abilities to discover their own unique ways of dancing through life. Their love story became the subject of doctoral dissertations in fields ranging from sociology to biomedical engineering. Researchers studied how their partnership had catalyzed innovations in multiple disciplines, creating a model for how personal relationships could drive social and technological progress. Universities established interdisciplinary programs based on their integrated approach to arts, technology, and accessibility. The Chin Hayes Foundation's digital archive grew into the world's largest collection of adaptive arts resources, documenting movement innovations from cultures around the globe. This living library became an invaluable resource for researchers, artists, and educators working to make the arts more accessible to everyone. As they approached their 40th wedding anniversary, James and Nathan decided to create their most ambitious project yet, a floating arts center that would travel the world's waterways, bringing their message of inclusive creativity to coastal and riverside communities. The vessel, designed by James with input from naval architects and accessibility experts, featured adjustable spaces that could be reconfigured to accommodate any type of performance or workshop. Their children surprised them by commissioning a series of public art installations in major cities around the world, each piece incorporating elements of movement and accessibility. These works served as both functional gathering spaces and powerful symbols of their parents' legacy of love and innovation. The Foundation's influence extended into artificial intelligence and robotics, with researchers developing new assistive technologies inspired by the principles of adaptive dance. These innovations helped bridge the gap between artistic expression and physical capability, allowing people with severe mobility limitations to experience the joy of movement in new ways. James and Nathan's personal journey continued to inspire. Despite the challenges of aging, they found new ways to express their love through movement, proving that dance was not just a physical act but a language of the heart. Their evening ritual of sharing a dance on their porch became the subject of an award-winning photograph that captured the essence of enduring love. Their story spread to remote corners of the world, inspiring communities to reconsider their approach to disability and artistic expression. Traditional dance forms were reimagined to be more inclusive, creating new hybrid styles that celebrated human diversity in all its forms. The Chin Hayes Foundation established a permanent presence in space, creating a zero-gravity dance studio on the International Space Station. This revolutionary facility allowed researchers to study movement in ways previously impossible, leading to breakthroughs in both artistic expression and physical rehabilitation. As they look toward the future, James and Nathan remain focused on nurturing the next generation of innovators and dreamers. Their grandchildren grew up understanding that love knows no boundaries and that every challenge presents an opportunity for creative solution finding. Their legacy continued to evolve in unexpected ways, touching lives and transforming communities far beyond their original dreams. Yet through all the acclaim and achievement, they remained grounded in their love for each other. A love that had started with a chance meeting in a rehabilitation center and grown into a force that changed the world. Each evening, as the sun set over Atlanta, they could be found in their garden, moving together to music only they could hear, their bodies finding new ways to express the deepest truth they had discovered. That love, like dance, is not bound by physical limitations but flows freely between hearts that are open to its rhythm.